So the first wave of Playmates Kaiju Rangers are officially out, and I wasn't prepared for how good they are. They're just missing one thing that I really wish they had. Playtime! Yay! You won't believe who's sponsoring this video. Me, I am! Quick reminder, you can support this channel on Patreon, where you'll get access to the Monster Island Buddies Discord server, where I'm constantly hanging out. You can book me on Cameo to send shoutouts to whoever. And if you want to support the channel without spending money, simply like this video, share it, and be sure to subscribe. So how did we get here? In 2022, IDW released the crossover miniseries Godzilla vs. the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It was a huge deal because at the time, it was very rare for Godzilla to cross over with other known fictional characters. Oh, how things have changed. I liked this miniseries. It had a very streamlined story by Cullen Bunn and great art by Freddie Williams. In 2025, there was a sequel miniseries, Godzilla vs. the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2. I did not like this one. The story was again by Cullen Bunn, but I felt like it was a bit convoluted, and a different artist, Valdemar Rivas, handled the art, which I personally found messy. But the second miniseries introduced a new concept. Kaiju Rangers! Designed by the artist of the first miniseries, Freddie Williams, these were Power Rangers with Toho monster themes. And they had Kaiju Zords! One of my criticisms of the second series was that it didn't seem like you got a lot of good looks at the Kaiju Rangers in the story. And when you did, the art didn't do them any favors. The whole concept felt poorly executed, and it felt like a sloppy idea to me that fell flat. But then, on March 1st, 2026, Playmates had to come along and release a series of Kaiju Ranger action figures. And baby, I'm back in! They made these characters look the best they've ever looked. Here, the idea works, and boy does it work. Wave 1 brings us Red Rodan Ranger, Green Godzilla Ranger, and Blue Anguirus Ranger. So let's dig in, starting, of course, with Green Godzilla Ranger. The boxes are really neat. They have art by Freddie Williams, with this big spread on the back where you can see the entire team. It's intense, but it's cool. But what I really like are how the sides of the boxes each have the characters. So if the boxes are ever stacked this way, it's real easy to immediately know which box is which. I don't know why, I really like that a lot. But enough ropey-dope, let's take a look at the Green Godzilla Ranger. You get a lot of stuff. The figure, 3 weapons, and the Godzilla Power Coin. At least I assume this is meant to be a power coin. It's plastic, and it's got Godzilla on it. But writing this script is when I realized that in the comic books, you don't really get a good look at the Kaiju Power Coins. You only really see the Rodan coin. You can see the power coins in the concept art, and it's clearly different than this figure's power coin. But here's what's neat, the coin doubles as stands for the action figures. That's a good idea. We get a sword, a little gun, and what's this? A little knife? I don't know. I don't know.
MIB's brother here. So these are Power Ranger Blade Blasters. They work as swords, but then they can be folded into blaster mode. All the Rangers have one. If MIB did any research, he'd know this.
Here's the Green Godzilla Ranger. I think he looks great. Best he's ever looked. And I want to jump right into articulation today. The head can turn, the shoulders can 360, but they cannot go outward. The elbows bend, but they are super stiff on my guys. I needed to use force to bend these. And unlike the shoulders, the elbows can turn outward. And the hands can turn. You cannot turn at the midsection. Stick a pin in that. Legs go up and down. The knees bend, and the ankles can turn. It seems like a generous amount of articulation. But we'll get back to that. Godzilla Ranger can stand fine without his base, which is great. But the base is useful if you want to try more dynamic poses. Although, what I found is that even with all these points of articulation, it feels very limiting in what poses you could actually do. I think we lose a lot by not being able to turn the waist, or maybe move the shoulders outward. However, I can understand both decisions. I love the helmet. It kind of looks like Godzilla's got a huge smile on his face. The dorsal plates on his back are kind of small, but that matches how they appeared in the comic. A few colors are off from the comic though. In this book he's got green gloves, but there's also cover art where the gloves are white, like the toy. But there's also cover art where they're green. On the monogram keychains, they're white. The weapons fit in his hands easily. There's no struggle whatsoever there. Let's do some size comparisons. It's remarkable that this Godzilla crossover toy line is happening at the same time as the Ninja Turtle Godzilla crossover toy line. Just a few years ago, the idea of seeing these in stores at all, albeit at the same time, was unfathomable. The Kaiju Ranger is obviously taller, although Leo's got a lot more going on in general. Speaking of Playmates toys, here's the Godzilla Ranger with a New Empire Real Feel Godzilla. Again, he's just a smidge taller. Here he is with his monogram bag clip counterpart. So we get a regular version of this character, and we get a little super deformed version. Look at these two. I would watch this movie. A few more size comparisons next to a Millennium Reaction, a soft vinyl Godzilla 2014, and a Millennium Haya. I just grabbed whatever toys were within an arm's length. Let's check out Red Rodan. No, not Red Ronin, Red Rodan. You could already tell he's gonna have a dramatically different silhouette, which is awesome. Everybody gets a blade blaster in a different color like my brother said, which means they get to reuse molds. Classic Playmates. The Rodan coin doesn't match the comic at all. He's not even facing the same direction as the comic. I'm sorry for being such a stickler about these things, but it bothers me. Here's his personal sword. And you're probably noticing the wings. If you were wondering, they don't turn in any way, they cannot be removed, but they definitely make this guy meaningfully unique. It's all the same articulation as before, so I'm not going to go over that again, although his elbows were really stuck. It took a lot of force to turn them. Red Rodan can stand without his power coin, but it's a lot trickier. The wings are throwing off the weight distribution. If someone's gonna fall off your shelf without the base, it's this guy. There's a lot of design here, like his shoulder pads or his belt, that look like they were accidentally unpainted, but no, this is how it is in the comic. All those parts are supposed to be red. He's got lots of spikes on his shoulders, running down his back, on his gloves, his feet. I love this mold, I love this design. Because of Rodan's ears and wings, he's gonna have a little bit more height than the Godzilla Ranger. When I put him next to his monogram counterpart, it occurred to me how much more vibrant the bag clip colors are, and how the Playmates figure is more of a reddish brown. So let me ask you, do you prefer the muted colors of the Playmates figures, or do you wish they were more vibrant like the monogram clips? Just for fun, let's put him next to Rodan Raphael, who is still terrifying to me. Yikes. And we're gonna look at Blue Anguirus now, and friend, this might be my favorite one. I can't tell you why, it just works. Let me show you. Same story as the last two times, 3 weapons, but only one unique one. In this case, it's the staff. Here's his power coin, although this is another figure that stands really well without it. And here's our blue boy, and I love him. This is such a good design in my opinion. Of course he's loaded with spikes on his head, on his shoulders. Check out his back. This is awesome. And I haven't pointed this out yet, but these guys are also really textured well. Godzilla and Anguirus particularly have scales running around their suits. And what's cool is that they're mostly different from each other. Maybe the legs are the same, but looking at their butts, you could see very different scale patterns. Look at Blue Anguirus. He's amazing. Sometimes the staff slips downward in his grip, but it usually doesn't. And with a little bit of effort, not much, but a little, you can get both hands holding the staff, so he looks like a Tusken Raider. Here he is with the monogram counterpart. Again, the chibi guy is way more vibrant, but in this case, I really like the muted blues and the grays on the action figure. I think Freddie Williams did a fantastic job designing these Kaiju Ranger costumes. He managed to work in the monster themes without those themes overtaking the Power Ranger templates that we're very familiar with. It just feels like posability is so limited. There's a very finite amount of positions you could put these guys in. And look, for $15 a pop, I know I shouldn't be expecting crazy posability. It's just that when playing with these, I could really feel the limitations. I'm nitpicking. Maybe it's by reflex, but I keep going to turn them at the waist, which they simply cannot do. I feel like that one more point of articulation could have opened up the doors for a lot more dynamic poses. But at the very least, I can make them all play Ring Around the Rosie. And that's what's important at the end of the day, right? Believe it or not, Wave 2 of this line has already been revealed at the 2026 New York Toy Fair. I'm not sure when these will come out, but when they do, we'll get to finish the team with Pink Mothra, Yellow Baragon, and Black King Caesar. They also revealed a large Godzilla Megazord, which I'm kinda meh about personally, but I'm gonna reserve judgment until I'm holding the finished product. What do you think of the Kaiju Ranger figures from Playmates? These figures won me back on the whole Kaiju Ranger concept. I absolutely love these, way more than I thought I would. But I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. Go, go, Kaiju Rangers! Goodbye.
Joe Giro.
MrWest.com